Hi, you guys. Welcome back to Bright Violet Arts. My name is Valerie, and the video today is about the setup process for a 6-month fitness journal. This is an illustrated journal that I set up every 6 months. I've been setting them up for about 4 years now, and it is a place to house all of the information about my fitness efforts and results. It is also a place for motivation, reflection, a place to analyze patterns, and just a way to keep me engaged in my health week after week for the entire 6-month period. So I'm going to show you 8 spreads today. These are spreads that I have used time and time again for these purposes, and I find them to be an essential part of my wellness and self-care. And if you're interested in setting up your own fitness journal, I definitely would recommend that you save this video to watch back again when you're ready to start creating. And that way you'll have a reference for all of the different spreads that you may choose to include. So right now I'm setting up the table of contents. This page is just going to give me a list of all 8 of the spreads we're making today, just in order at a glance. The spreads I'm including today are a weekly weight tracker, a trending graph for weekly weights, a measurements tracker by month, workout tracking, strength training progress, a pounds lost to date record, a photo results and non-scale victories spread, and then finally we'll have a spread that summarizes the final results. I'm accenting the table of contents with some scroll work detailing, and again, as I said, this is going to be an illustrated journal, so each page will contain some of my original artwork, just as a way to make the journal more special, I guess, more beautiful to me. And that is optional. I would not want the artwork to intimidate anybody into thinking, they don't need to make a fitness journal because they don't plan to illustrate at this intensity. The most important part is the functionality of the spreads, of course, and that can be done in any style that you prefer. But with that being said, the style I prefer is maximalist. I am going for a theme in this notebook that I'm describing as elegant empowerment. This is full of strong female energy, as you can see from the first illustration. This illustration is the first weekly weight tracker, the first of 2 that we're going to make. The technique I'm using for the art is to sketch out my illustration and then fill it in with paint pens as a base coat. And then these guys are my pride and joy. These are my Caran d'Ache colored pencils. They're the Luminance 6901 line. And I am going to blend them into the fully dry paint pen as a top layer for detailing. So that's what I'm doing now, is shading in the woman that I've drawn. And as I said, this is a weight tracker, and it is designed to record all of my weekly weigh-ins from Monday mornings. That is the time once a week when I consistently weigh myself, and I write it down every week. No matter what I think about the number, I just have to write it down. That's the promise I make to myself. And I'm putting on the title now that just reminds me that this is the Monday morning weekly weight. And you can see on the chart, I have 2 columns basically for the weights. There's 13 rows and 2 columns. So together that's enough room for 26 weeks, which just so happens to be the number of weeks in a 6-month period. So I do have a word about colored pencils. The only caveat is that they do transfer from one page to the page opposite when the journal's in use, and to solve that problem, I seal mine in with this Krylon Fine Art Fixative Spray. I just spray this on the illustration. When it's done, it's going to add a little bit of sheen to the illustration, which I actually think looks nice. But that is what I do to protect my journal and keep all the pages neat forever. So I recommend that if you're going to use colored pencil. Now I'm working on the trending graph for the weekly weights, and I have put in 26 vertical lines, one for each week, and then the pink box on the vertical axis is for my weight range, which I will write in after I've filmed the video, and I will just make a dot for every week for that data point for the number that I recorded on the first spread. I will then come to this spread, make a dot on the graph, and then over time that's going to develop a trending line, and I'll be able to see whether my weight is going up or down or if it's stable. And over time I'll be able to tell if any patterns exist, if any patterns start to emerge in the visual representation of that data as it appears on the graph. So it's a great tool. For the third spread, I'm illustrating a woman with her measuring tape, and that's because this is a measurements tracker. I plan to take my measurements on the last day of each month of the 6-month lifespan that will be housed in this notebook. Today actually is September 1st as I'm recording this voiceover, and my program started this morning. I'm on day 1 right now. My program runs from day 1 of September through the last day of February of next year. So that means today I have to get my starting point for my measurements tracker for this spread. So I will take my measurements today, probably right after I complete this voiceover, and get this tracker started. But then I will have a spot for the last day of the month for each month, and that's going to give me a total of 7 columns that I need. So I've got the 6 months of the program plus the start date, that's 7. And then I've chosen to track a total of 8 body parts. So I've got 8 boxes going down for those. You can track, of course, whatever body parts you're interested in. But I'm trying to cover the whole gamut. So I've got 8 here, and I will be filling that in as just a mile marker on my weight loss journey to see how I'm doing each month in a way that's more than just the number on the scale. For the 4th spread, I'm going to set up a workout tracker, and it's pretty cool. It's really, really useful. I've used it a couple of notebooks prior to this one, and I like it because it is a color-coded system. For any of you that are seasoned journalers out there, you may be familiar with the Alistair method, which is the type of tracker we're using. So this method puts the date going vertically down the box, and then across the top of the box is the month. And that way I can do, in this small space, I have every day for a 6-month period here available to color code with any activity that I choose to do at the gym or whatever I'm doing for exercise. So here's my color coding system. I'm going to have 5 different activities that I typically do, and I have a color to represent each of them in the graph in the square of that day's date. So there's enough room in each box when it's set up this way to have up to 2 activities. So if I go to yoga, but then I also do some cardio, I can record both of those in the same square. If I just use a circle for each one side by side, they'll fit. I'm adding a motivational quote to the extra space on this page just as a final touch. So next I want to talk about strength training. or at least tracking it. The previous spread, the workout tracker, for me, one of my color-coded activities was weight training, and I will be recording just the occurrence of a weight session on that tracker, but I want more detail than that. Strength training really does deserve its own space in my notebook because I want to record my progress from the beginning of my 6-month period to the end of it. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to record the heaviest weight I can lift on any number of weight machines. I think I've got a chart that holds 10. But basically it's going to be exercise specific, and I'm going to, on day one, today, I'm going to hit the gym and lift as much as I can on 10 separate machines, and I'm going to record that number. And then on February 28th, or as close as I can get to that day, I will go back and do the same circuit of machines or exercises. And I will again lift my heaviest possible weight, and then I can compare the numbers. Then I can see how much stronger I have gotten over this time period, and I expect that to be very satisfying. The 6th spread out of this notebook is the tracker that I like the best because it's a celebration of the progress that I'm making, kind of in a real-time format. So the goal for my fitness program for me is weight loss. I know that that is not everybody's fitness goal, but it's definitely one of mine. So I am going to have this tracker that helps me equate one box with 1 pound of weight loss, and I will be coloring in a box every time I confirm that I've lost another pound. Then I get to check the box or color it in, which is a very satisfying ritual. It's just a little miniature celebration of another step toward my larger health journey every time. And to that end, my larger health journey for this 6-month period, I have set a goal of losing 40 pounds over the lifespan of this journal. And this tracker is going to help me visualize not only all the progress that I've made, but it shows me how far I have to go to meet this benchmark that I'm setting for myself. It's going to show me my progress in terms of the boxes that are already colored in versus the blank boxes, and that just shows me at a glance, how far along I'm getting toward that goal, and where I'm at in the timing of the 6-month lifespan. So the 40 boxes that I'm drawing in, I've arranged those in rows of 5 so that I can count by 5s along the side of the boxes just to glance and be able to easily count how many pounds I've lost. And then I just have a box here to remind me that a loss of 1.5 pounds per week for 6 months equals the 40 pounds of my goal. So that is just a reminder to myself of what my pacing might look like if I was to do this evenly across the 6 months. So the next spread is a special one. It is a little bit more involved, but it's going to be a lot of fun to set up, and it's definitely going to be fun to use and then reflect on later. So what I'm doing is I'm adding little tip-in doors to the side of my pages to give me some extra room. So these little flaps that I've used washi tape to secure to the side of the pages, they open and close, and on the inside of the flaps, I'm going to be putting 2 different elements. One, I'm going to have some selfies. So I've got my first selfie already in there. That's from today. That is my, starting point for the 6 months as far as what I look like, visually, right? So this is a way that I can take selfies just at midpoints throughout the journey, and then one at the very end on February 28th. And that way I can look for more subtle visual changes in my face and body as they're reflected in the selfies. And those are just good indicators of how things are going, and it's fun to look back at them and see how you changed over the lifespan of the notebook. Now, underneath the selfies, I'm going to have some spots to include non-scale victories. So non-scale victories, often that is seen abbreviated as NSV. That's any sense of evidence that you find that you are losing weight or getting more fit that is not related to a number on the scale. So for example, one of my non-scale victories has been going down in my clothing size, which is cool because it allowed me to go shopping for new clothes. And so that kind of references this illustration here. I have a woman who is loaded down with shopping bags, and to me, I think of her as someone who has had some fitness program success. She's lost weight, and now she's out shopping for a new wardrobe. So that is a big non-scale victory experience. Another example might be maybe there's a household chore, like doing the floors or something that used to exhaust me or I found physically challenging. And maybe now all of a sudden it's not so hard. And that's another victory. That's another example of where my fitness efforts are paying off and I am making improvements. Or maybe I'm noticing that the quality of my sleep has improved or anything like that. Anything that's not related to the scale, but like I said, it provides evidence that you're making progress. Those are the kinds of NSV experiences that I'm going to record underneath the selfies inside the flaps of this spread. And I'm really interested in the kinds of NSV experiences that you guys are having. So please let me know in the comments anything that you've experienced like that you're proud of, that's exciting for you as you progress on your journey. I would love to know about it. And don't forget to write the date of the selfie in some form on the spread, because you'll want to, remember exactly what date you took the photo. And as long as you're headed over to the comments section, it's a great time to hit the subscribe button as well if you're enjoying this content, or if you like content about inspirational journaling and illustration. That is what I feature on this channel, so I would love it if you stick around for some more videos. I'll be back again soon with another one. I'm also on Instagram at Bright Violet Arts. Come hang out with me over there and check out lots of other journaling pictures and more content related to the behind the scenes production of the custom journals and videos that I create. So getting into the time lapse again, this is the final spread of the 8 we're creating today. This is the final results spread, and it is going to summarize the progress that I make during the term of this journal. So I have another measurements tracker here where I'm just going to put the starting point measurements from today, and then my measurements as of February 28th, the end of the journal. And then that triangle there, that is the Greek letter delta. It is an abbreviation for the word change. So I have the delta column to see the difference in terms of if my measurements went up or down. Same for the weight tracker. I have a triangle there, and I'll put the number of pounds difference of my weight in that spot. Okay, let's take a look back in a final flip through of the spreads I made today for the fitness journal. This is my third fitness journal video. I have 2 others up on my channel if you would like to take a look at previous iterations of the fitness journal. A lot of the spreads are very, very similar, or in some cases exactly the same, but each journal is a little bit different in terms of what it does or doesn't include, so there are some variations. But the reason that I'm so consistent with using these trackers is because these are the trackers for me that work. They've proven themselves to me over the years as being relevant and motivational for my fitness goals, and I really enjoy the effort that goes into creating the journal. It's almost like when I spend the time to set up a nice journal like this, I am investing in the next 6 months of my weight loss program. It is basically like a new journal is a reset on the road to my fitness goals. With each new journal that I create, I'm giving myself a fresh start, a new target, a new focal point for my efforts, and a fresh burst of motivation, to fill in the journal and make it look nice and enjoy, the satisfaction of coloring in weight loss boxes and all of that stuff. So I hope that you'll have the same experience if you create a fitness journal. If you have any feedback on this video, definitely drop it in the comments. I would love to hear what you thought, and if you plan to create a journal like this for yourself. Now, looking at the notebook, there are still quite a few unused pages here. This is where the rest of your story goes. This can be used for free journaling, or you can take notes on your workouts, or just check in with yourself on how it's going. You can use those pages however you like. But until next time, thank you again so much for joining me at Bright Violet Arts. Happy journaling.